The NBA bubble is over. It was a rousing success with really high level basketball play, a lot of cool highlights. One of my personal favorites being this little exchange between Duncan Robinson and Chris Paul during a relatively meaningless Heat Thunder game. The Heat had already wrapped up a first round matchup against the Pacers, and the Thunder had already clinched their playoff ticket. You see Chris Paul bouncing the ball off of Duncan Robinson's neck, and then Jimmy Butler retaliates by running him over on the next play. Really interesting interactions here. You wouldn't think that there would be a scrap between Chris Paul and Duncan Robinson, but alas, here we are. And of course, Jimmy had to get involved. They even went as far as to ask Jimmy about this moment after the game, and his response was, well, a very classic Jimmy Butler response.
Was that you kind of having your teammates back and letting Chris know, like, we're not going to let this slide?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not gonna throw the ball at my teammate like that. So yeah, I'll get a turnover, get an offensive foul, but um, we don't do that here. So you mess with one of my guys, especially one of my shooters, then you got to deal with me and everybody else.
Classic Jimmy Butler right there. So the question is, how did Duncan Robinson irritate Chris Paul so much to the point where they got into a little scuffle? Well, we gotta look at the game to provide some context to that. Duncan Robinson was having himself a game. He was hitting threes, he was coming off curls. We even see a rare Duncan Robinson layup sighting here, which I'm sure delighted Chris Paul to see. Uh, he's pretty much on fire the entire first half. Here he is getting fouled on a three. On the very next play, another three and one. Duncan Robinson had a great bubble. I mean, look at Tyler Hero here. He's even like, I can't believe this is happening right now. Got to show a little bit of Chris Paul because he's still very good at basketball and still very good from the elbow. And after this Duncan Robinson three-pointer, which was his fifth make without a miss in the half, I think Chris Paul had seen enough at that point. Which brings us to the highlight of this video. So Duncan Robinson actually went on JJ Redick's podcast and gave us a breakdown of what went on here. So once Chris Paul knocks it out of Robinson's hands, he yells at the ref, "It's our ball." And at this point, Duncan Robinson turns to Chris Paul and says, "I should have shot that ball," which set off Chris Paul. He's looking at him like, all right, okay, I got it. Don't play me like that again. And Jimmy's taking it all in, seizing it as an opportunity to further escalate the situation. He gets the inbound pass and he sees Goran Dragic cutting open, but he says no. Let's see what happens between these two guys. Chris Paul gets the ball, has an option to throw it off of either guy, obviously chooses Robinson. Jimmy Butler looking at Robinson like, are you going to retaliate? I guess I got to do it myself. And on the next play, he runs over Chris Paul. And then you see Chris turning over to the Miami bench and like saying something like, your boy's crazy. And then Jimmy's like, I got your back. Don't worry. Overall, I think it was pretty well played all around. Uh, Interestingly enough, those three guys had a very good bubble. And I want to say all three guys improved their stock as a result of this past NBA season. Of course, they're all at different points in their careers, but Duncan Robinson being a relatively unknown player and turning himself into a high value role player. And then Chris Paul, who everyone thought was washed going into the season, ended up making All NBA. And we all saw what Jimmy Butler did in the playoffs, cementing himself as one of the top players in the game. So it's an interesting highlight. Well played all around. Hope to see more of this interaction in the NBA post bubble. I'm sure we will find plenty of content to digest and go over with you guys. The end of this game actually was pretty interesting. The Thunder came back from a 20 plus point deficit to take this game. But the real highlight happened before halftime. So that's the highlight. Hope you guys enjoy. See you guys next time.